It's 6:47 in the evening. You've just gotten home from work. You're still in your coat. You grab the bag of kibble, pour it into the bowl, and set it on the floor. And before you even stand back up, it's gone. You blink. You look at the bowl. You look at your dog. He's already licking the floor around the bowl, tail wagging, looking up at you like, is that all you've got? The whole meal took maybe 8 seconds. And you laugh, because honestly, it's a little impressive. But then that familiar knot forms in your stomach. Because you've seen him pace after meals. You've heard that deep, uncomfortable gurgling. You've watched him try to vomit and nothing come up. And you've Googled things at midnight that you really, really wish you hadn't. I hear this story every single week in my practice. And I want to start by telling you something important: you are not overreacting. That instinct you have, that quiet worry every time the bowl hits the floor, that is your gut telling you to pay attention. And today, I want to give you the knowledge to back it up. Hi everyone. I'm Dr. Nathan Reed, your neighborhood veterinarian. I've spent over 15 years working with dogs of all shapes, sizes, and eating speeds. And when it comes to fast eating, I've seen everything from mild bloating to life-threatening emergencies that started at the dinner bowl. Today, I'm going to give you something practical. A complete, science-backed framework I call the pre-bowl protocol. 5 simple steps you can start using before your dog's very next meal, using things you probably already have at home, that can slow their eating speed by up to 70%, reduce gas and bloating, and protect them from a dangerous condition that kills dogs in under an hour. We're going to talk about why fast eating isn't a bad habit, it's a survival instinct hardwired into your dog's brain. We're going to walk through exactly what happens inside that stomach when they gulp air with every bite. I'm going to give you the full 5-step protocol you can start tonight. And then I'm going to cover something most pet owners never hear about until it's too late: the silent warning signs that show up right after a fast meal, the ones that look totally normal, but aren't. And stay with me until chapter 4, because I'm going to show you the single fastest way to tell the difference between normal post-meal discomfort and a veterinary emergency. It's a 30-second check. And knowing it could save your dog's life. Let's start at the beginning. Let's talk about why your dog eats like they haven't seen food in 3 weeks. Your dog is not being dramatic. They're not being greedy. They're not poorly trained. When your dog inhales their food, they are following one of the oldest and deepest survival programs in canine biology. Think about the ancestor of every domestic dog. Wolves and early canids didn't have scheduled meals. They hunted, sometimes for days with nothing. And when they finally made a kill, eating fast wasn't rude. It was survival. The fastest eater got the most calories. The dog that paused to chew might lose their share to a faster littermate. That instinct didn't disappear when dogs moved into our homes. It got quieter, but it never left. And here's something I find fascinating in the clinic. I ask owners all the time, do you have more than one dog? And the ones who say yes almost always tell me their fast eater got faster when they got a second dog. Because the moment another animal is nearby, that ancient competition program lights up. Even if there's no real threat, the brain says, eat faster, eat more, eat now. But here's the thing that surprises most people I work with. Not all dogs in the same household eat fast. Even littermates, raised identically, can develop completely different eating behaviors. And the reason comes down to what happened in the first 8 weeks of life. Puppies who came from large litters, or who had to compete at a communal feeding bowl, learn early that hesitation means hunger. That lesson gets encoded at a neurological level during a critical developmental window. It becomes their default setting. And no amount of training will fully overwrite a default that deep. I'm not saying this to discourage you. I'm saying this because I want you to stop blaming your dog and stop blaming yourself. This isn't a discipline problem. It's a biology problem. And biology problems need biology solutions. Which is exactly what we're going to build together today. But first, I need you to understand what's actually happening inside your dog's stomach when they eat that fast. Because it's more complicated and more dangerous than most people realize. When your dog gulps food at high speed, they don't just swallow kibble. They swallow air. A lot of it. With every fast bite, a pocket of air gets pushed down into the stomach along with the food. And as the food begins to expand from absorbing moisture and stomach acid, that trapped air has nowhere to go. What you get is a stomach that's rapidly filling with both food and gas simultaneously. This is what causes that tight, distended belly you sometimes see after a fast meal. Your dog might pace. They might seem restless or uncomfortable. They might try to vomit and fail. Veterinarians call this acute gastric distension. Most owners call it bloating. Now, in mild cases, the body works it out. Your dog passes gas, the discomfort subsides, and everything goes back to normal. But here's where it gets serious. Every time this happens, the stomach is being stretched. And a stomach that gets stretched repeatedly develops something called stretch memory. The muscles of the stomach wall start to accommodate the expansion. Over time, it takes more and more distension to trigger the discomfort reflex. The stomach is essentially being trained to hold more gas than it was designed to. And in certain breeds, and I'll get to the specific list in Chapter 5, that stretched, gas-filled stomach can do something catastrophic. It can rotate. I'm going to cover that in detail in Chapter 4. Because when we talk about fast eating, we are not just talking about indigestion. We are talking about a cascade that, if left unmanaged, can become fatal. But before we go there, I want to give you something you can use tonight. Because the best thing you can do for a dog who eats too fast isn't to react after the meal. It's to intervene before the meal even starts. This is the pre-bowl protocol. 5 steps. Each one takes 30 seconds or less. Together, they create a completely different experience for your dog's brain and body at mealtime. Step 1, the mental reset. Before you even touch the food bag, ask your dog to sit. Wait for a full 4 seconds of stillness before you reach for anything. I know that sounds almost too simple. But here's why it works. Fast eating is driven by an anxious, anticipatory state. The moment your dog hears the cabinet open or the bag rustle, their nervous system spikes. Cortisol rises. The Eat Fast program activates. A 4-second sit forces an interruption in that anxiety loop. You're inserting a pause between the trigger and the behavior. Over 2 to 3 weeks of doing this consistently, the anticipatory spike actually decreases. Mealtime stops being a frantic event and starts becoming a calm ritual. I've had clients tell me this single step cut their dog's eating speed nearly in half. Step 2, the surface shift. Stop feeding from the floor. Elevate the bowl to chest height for large and giant breeds, about 4 to 6 inches off the ground for medium breeds, and keep it flat for small dogs. Elevated feeding for large dogs slightly changes the mechanics of swallowing and reduces the angle at which air gets pulled in with the food. I want to be clear here. Elevated feeders have been debated in veterinary literature, specifically in relation to GDV risk in large breeds. The current evidence is mixed. For most dogs, moderate elevation is neutral to beneficial for fast-eating management. But if you have a Great Dane or an Irish Wolfhound, please talk to your own veterinarian before making this change. Step 3, the scatter or freeze method. This is my personal favorite in the protocol, and it costs almost nothing. Take a quarter of your dog's regular meal and either scatter it across a snuffle mat, a muffin tin, or even just a clean patch of grass in the backyard. Or mix their kibble with a small amount of low-sodium chicken broth, pour it into an ice cube tray, and freeze it. Give them 1 or 2 frozen cubes alongside their regular bowl. The scatter method activates foraging behavior. The nose goes down, the pace slows naturally, and the brain shifts from anxious gulping to calm, problem-solving engagement. The frozen method adds a physical barrier between your dog and their food. They have to lick and work for each bite. I've seen dogs who normally finish in 8 seconds take 4 full minutes with a frozen cube. That's not just slower eating. That's a completely different physiological state. Step 4, the mid-meal pause. About halfway through the bowl, gently pick it up, hold it for 3 to 5 seconds, then set it back down. Just like the sit at the beginning, this interrupts the compulsive eating loop. You're teaching your dog's nervous system that the food isn't disappearing, that there's no emergency, that they can slow down. It feels awkward the first few times. Your dog will look at you like you've personally betrayed them. Do it anyway. Consistency is everything here. Step 5, the post-meal rest. After your dog finishes eating, no running, no playing, no excited greetings, no walks for at least 30 minutes. I know this is hard when you come home excited to see them. But exercise right after a meal, especially a fast one, is one of the primary triggers for the condition I'm about to describe. Enforce a calm 30-minute window. Settle them on their bed. Keep the energy low. This one step alone is something every large breed owner should treat as non-negotiable. Now I have to stop and tell you something. If you've been doing this all wrong, giving your dog a bowl on the floor, letting them eat in 10 seconds, taking them straight to the park, please hear me when I say, you didn't know. You were doing your best. That's why you're here. And the fact that you're watching this right now means your dog is already safer than they were 20 minutes ago. Now let's talk about what can happen when fast eating goes wrong. And I want you to give me your full attention for this chapter, because this is the one that matters most. GDV. Gastric dilatation volvulus. It is, without exaggeration, one of the most terrifying emergencies in veterinary medicine. And it almost always starts at the food bowl. Here's what happens. The stomach fills rapidly with food, fluid, and gas. In a vulnerable dog, under the right conditions, that swollen stomach begins to rotate on its own axis. When it twists, it seals off both ends. Gas cannot escape. Blood supply to the stomach wall is cut off. Tissue begins to die. The pressure builds against the diaphragm, making it harder to breathe. The spleen, which is attached to the stomach, rotates with it and can rupture. Without emergency surgery, a dog with GDV will die. And the window is not days. It's hours. Sometimes less. I had a patient, a 4-year-old Weimaraner named Duke. His owner, a woman named Sandra, brought him in on a Tuesday evening. She said he'd eaten his dinner fast as usual, and then she noticed he seemed a little off. He kept standing up and lying back down. He tried to retch twice but nothing came up. His belly looked a little bigger than normal. She thought maybe he was just gassy. Size. By the time Duke was on my table, he was in shock. We performed emergency surgery. We saved him. But Sandra told me afterward, I almost didn't bring him in. I thought I was being paranoid. You are never being paranoid when it comes to these signs. Here is the 30-second check I promised you. After a fast meal, watch your dog for the following, and if you see 2 or more of these together, you call your vet immediately. Unproductive retching. They're trying to vomit, and nothing is coming up, not even foam. A visibly distended abdomen, the belly looks swollen, tight, or lopsided. Restlessness that won't resolve, they can't get comfortable, keep standing and lying down. Pale or white gums, press your finger against their gum and release. The color should return in under 2 seconds. If it doesn't, that's an emergency. Excessive drooling combined with any of the above. Rapid, shallow breathing. These signs together mean one thing. Get to an emergency vet now. Not in the morning. Now. I also need to mention something about a common ingredient before we move on. If you add anything to your dog's bowl, and a lot of us do, please double check that it does not contain xylitol, also listed as birch sugar on some labels. It's found in certain peanut butters, some flavored broths, and many products marketed as natural or sugar-free. Xylitol is extremely toxic to dogs. Even small amounts can cause life-threatening liver failure. Always read the label. Every single time. Now let's talk about which dogs are at the highest risk, and a few simple bowl solutions that actually work. My friends, I want to be honest with you about something. There is no shortage of products out there marketed to slow down fast eaters. Puzzle bowls, maze feeders, slow feeder inserts. Some of them are genuinely useful. Some of them are overpriced plastic that your dog figures out in a week. And some of them, the ones with very small compartments and rigid materials, can actually cause frustration and anxiety in dogs who eat fast due to high food drive. They hit a physical barrier, can't get to the food, and panic. My recommendation: start with the snuffle mat or the muffin tin method from step 3 before spending money on anything. If you want a purpose-built product, look for wide, shallow slow feeders with soft silicone ridges, not deep, narrow mazes. Now, the breeds. Certain dogs are significantly more predisposed to GDV. Large and giant breeds with deep, narrow chests carry the highest risk. Great Danes, Weimaraners, St. Bernards, Standard Poodles, Irish Setters, Doberman Pinschers, German Shepherds. These breeds have a chest cavity shaped in a way that gives the stomach more physical room to rotate once it's distended. But here's the one that surprises most people: Basset Hounds. A low, heavy-bodied small breed with a deep chest cavity and a famously enthusiastic relationship with food. If you have a Basset Hound, treat them with the same level of mealtime care you'd give a Great Dane. Age also matters. Dogs over 7 years old have reduced stomach muscle tone, meaning the stomach is more prone to distension. And dogs who have had one episode of bloating are significantly more likely to experience GDV. If you have a high-risk breed, please have a conversation with your veterinarian about a preventive surgical procedure called a gastropexy, where the stomach is tacked to the abdominal wall to prevent rotation. Many large breed owners choose to do this proactively during a spay or neuter procedure. It does not prevent bloating, but it prevents the twist. And it is the single most effective thing you can do for a high-risk dog. Now, the ingredient I promised you. The one that works quietly in the background, costs almost nothing, and makes a measurable difference in digestion for fast eaters. Plain canned pumpkin. Not pumpkin pie filling. Pure pumpkin puree. 100% pumpkin, no additives. A tablespoon added to your dog's bowl before the meal does several things simultaneously. The thick, dense texture physically slows the rate at which kibble can be gulped, because the food is now coated and slightly sticky. The soluble fiber in pumpkin, called pectin, slows gastric emptying, meaning the stomach releases food into the small intestine more gradually, reducing the rapid gas and fermentation cycle that follows fast eating. And the high water content helps prehydrate the digestive system, which means kibble expands more slowly and gently rather than all at once. I recommend 1 tablespoon for small to medium dogs, 2 tablespoons for large dogs, mixed directly into the bowl before you serve the meal. Use it 3 to 4 times per week, not every single day, to avoid any dependency on added fiber. It's inexpensive, it's widely available at any American grocery store, and in 15 years of practice I have never had a dog react poorly to it. It's one of the simplest, safest interventions I know. My friends, we started tonight with your dog inhaling their food in 8 seconds flat. And now look at everything you understand. You know that fast eating isn't a flaw. It's evolution. It's a survival program that was brilliant in the wild and needs gentle management in your kitchen. You know what's happening inside that stomach, the air, the distension, the stretch memory, and how it builds over time. You have the pre-bowl protocol. 5 steps. The mental reset. The surface shift. The scatter or freeze method. The mid-meal pause. And the post-meal rest. Start with just one of these tonight. Seriously, just one. Pick the one that feels easiest for your life and your dog and do it at the very next meal. That is all I'm asking. You know the 30-second GDV check. You know the signs that mean call the vet now. You know which breeds carry the highest risk, and you know about gastropexy if that conversation with your veterinarian is one you need to have. And you know about pumpkin. 1 tablespoon, plain, pure, no additives, right in the bowl. That is a complete toolkit. And you built it in 20 minutes. If this video helped you, I have one simple ask. Hit the like button right now. It tells me that this kind of practical, honest information is what you want more of, and it helps other dog owners who need this find the video when they're searching at midnight, worried about their dog. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Tell me. Is your dog a speed eater who inhales every meal, or do they graze and walk away and come back? Drop it below. I read every single comment. I want to know about your dog. If you're not subscribed yet, this is your sign. I post practical, veterinarian-backed dog health content every week. No fluff, no fearmongering, just the real stuff that actually makes a difference in your dog's life. I'm Dr. Nathan Reed. Thank you for being the kind of dog owner who shows up, who pays attention, and who keeps learning. It means everything. Now go give your sweet dog a gentle scratch behind the ears from Dr. Nathan tonight. They've earned it.